Hey everybody, welcome back to the B. Dawson Show. Today I'm excited to talk about a question from Aaliyah Lewis that works for Grant Cardone's office. Look, this is a special lady. She's been recognized already for her accomplishments and achievements just by being there for a few months. But here's what I want to do. She sent me a question saying, using the Jay-Z line, "I'm not a businessman, I'm a business man."
I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. Let me handle my business, damn.
I want to talk about this because there's perfect examples of people all around us to help us shape our thinking, which then shapes our doing relative to the opportunities in front of us. If you go into an existing environment, so say you're an entrepreneur, you're going to work for somebody else, okay? And this is true for an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, or an investorpreneur. The mindset of how you engage in those moments is going to be the same. So I want to talk about this. I think it's really important. She's an incredible lady with a huge future ahead of her. So I thought I'd dedicate this B. Dawson Show to her. So think about this. What is Jay-Z saying, right? I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. What he's saying is that I conduct my thinking, I conduct my doing in a seriousness that's relative to my being. Like, I'm not just showing up and I'm not just doing stuff and I'm not just slinging things. I am actually intentional about every single thing I'm doing because I recognize that my brand, Jay-Z, is a business. So he separates himself from him as a human being to the responsibility of his business, his brand. And then he conducts himself as a human being to fit into executing as a brand. So he has such high expectations for the things that he wants to accomplish that he has a big picture perspective, and then he doesn't do anything as a human being that would derail him from his brand. Now, has he been perfect? Has he had mistakes? Has he made slips? Of course he has. Every human being that's going through any kind of growth cycle makes mistakes. If we judged every human being, who they are, or the quality of their brand as a business based on a mistake that they've made, then nobody would have any credibility in the world to do or be anything. Because every single human being at some point in their time or some point in their life, or every business has made a mistake. It's in the mistakes and learning from those mistakes that shape what you're going to be like in the future. The future self, the future brand is a representation of every granular moment that starts right now. The past brand, think about it, there's been plenty of businesses or organizations that went through poor brand identities for a period of time. And when they're corrected, they fix those things and then they're able to move to the next level. Well, it's in the breaking of the brand or in the breaking as a human that you learn. These are called break points. Businesses have break points. Humans have break points. Nobody grows like this. It just doesn't happen. People grow, then they break, and then they learn, and then they grow, and then they break, and then they learn. And a brand, a business does the same thing. No business just goes like this. Businesses break, and then they learn. They break, and then they learn. And if you look at a stock chart, it's never just like that. It eventually goes like this. And it's in those moments, those break points where someone can say, okay, what caused that? What do I need to do to fix it? How do I make sure it doesn't happen in the future? And then when they do, and they course correct, it goes up. Well, I want to talk about this because you as an individual, you as a human being, all of us as human beings have two components to us. They have us as humans and then the brand that we represent. When Jay-Z is saying, I'm a business man, what he's saying is he is acknowledging his responsibility. If he's serious about his brand, which is Jay-Z, he's recognizing his responsibility as a human to complement, to elevate, to exemplify the brand Jay-Z. Therefore, his actions, the accountability in his actions, his activities, his communication, his conversations, all the things that he does in and out every single day need to elevate to his expectancy for his brand. Well, how does that translate to somebody working in a business? If I'm working for somebody else, or I'm working for myself, or I have a bunch of people working for me, or I'm investing, the responsibility of how you want others to see you is your brand. So ask yourself, take a piece of paper out. Just do this. Draw a line down the middle. Go find some mentors that exemplify things that you look at, that you see, that you go, this really, if how the lens of other people seeing me, how do I want them to see me? Do I want them to see me as serious? Do I want them to see me as committed? Do I want them to see me as structured? Do I want them to see me as a high performer? Do I want them to see me as professional? Do I want them to see me as articulate? Do I want them to see me as gracious? Do I want them to see me with humility? Make your list and then ask yourself, write down the attributes on a scale of 1 to 10. How much are you focused on those attributes? And who have you identified in your life that exemplify those attributes? Anybody who's looking in their environment, they can find these people. External from your environment, you can find these people. You can find examples with authors, with personalities, with bloggers, with people. It doesn't matter, but what you have to know are what are those attributes. If you don't know what your attributes are or want to be, then you don't know how to develop them. Once you develop those attributes and you start presenting yourself as professional, you start presenting yourself as humble, you start presenting yourself as a high performer, you start presenting yourself as articulate, and you're going to make mistakes. Who cares? That's the cycle of growing. Everything personally, professionally, and financially has a break point. It's in those break points. It's in those mistakes. It's the recovery of those mistakes that grow you as a person. So embrace those moments where you're like, I wish I hadn't said that. Embrace those moments where you say, I wish I hadn't done that. Embrace those moments where you say, I wish I hadn't presented that way. I wish I hadn't shown up that way. I wish I hadn't been perceived that way. Embrace those moments and then document next to the attributes that you want your brand to be, right? You're a business person. You're a business person or you're a business person. Like you identify that. And then you ask yourself, if I'm a business person, what is your brand? What does it stand for? How do you want people to perceive it? How do you want people to receive it? How serious are you about developing your personal brand and then holding yourself accountable to executing to that brand so other people can understand and expect and see what you're intentional about them seeing and you're performing intentionally towards that goal. Every single human being has a unique ability to be what they want to be if they know what that looks like and they execute to it and they study it and they pay attention to it. And that is what Jay-Z is saying. I'm a business man. He is so intentional about what he wants to accomplish. He wanted to get to 1 billion. He's at 1 billion. Look, he's going to get to 5 billion. I'm 100% confident that he and Beyonce have the ability to do anything and everything that they want to do because they are bosses and they are creating their life. How do you become a boss and how do you create your life? There's so many remarkable examples. Elena Cardone just put her book out. She talks about the pursuit of that. Grant's put books out. There's so many great Beyond Positive Thinking, How to Get Your Thinking Right by Dr. Robert Anthony. There's so many amazing resources out there, but here it is in a nutshell. Here it is in a nutshell. You as an individual need to determine, you need to decide what is your business, man, and you need to write those attributes down. And then you need to study who's an example to those attributes. Then you need to understand how to drive the highest impact in your environment. Then you need to get the results that you know that you need to get in order to be number one so your own confidence can propel forward. And here's the thing. Once you start doing these things and your confidence builds and your execution builds and the respect of the people around you build and your overall value to whatever the equation is builds, well, that's your business. The more you make yourself invaluable to an organization, to an enterprise, to a thing, the more valuable you become. And that is your business, because once you learn to do that anywhere, either for yourself, in somebody else's business, in a business you start, or as an investor, the higher your confidence goes up, the more success that you have, The more you become a boss, the more you recognize the significance of your brand, which you need to protect. Don't do dumb things. You know, I've had so many experiences where someone who was really good in their job, they were personable, would get drunk and do something stupid at an event and destroy their own credibility like that. So when Jay-Z's saying, I'm a businessman, protect your brand. Be taken as serious. Be taken as committed. Be intentional. Be focused. Execute at the highest levels. Present yourself in a professionalism that people admire and respect with humility where they want to be around you, and then help others do the same thing, and your brand will become one of the hottest brands no matter what you're doing. If you do it as an investor, everyone else will follow you, like Grant Cardone. His brand is making good, wise investment decisions and creating significant and abundant net worth. So that's his brand. Grant Cardone is a business. He's a businessman, but he's a business. That brand is a business, and there's a certain expectation when people invest or work with Grant or with me or with anybody else for that matter. Their name represents a brand. Everyone, the God's gift to us all is we can create whatever brand we want to represent us. Now, the environment you're in will determine your overall opportunities to succeed, and you have to grow as a person to grow your competency. Look, Mason Walker came into Audigy as an outbound phone caller, but his brand was a brand of excellence, determination, skill, execution, results, competency. All these things became his brand, and because those were his brand, he was always intentional and focused around building that brand inside of the organization, which is why and how he became president of the organization. Everyone has an opportunity to build their brand and be a business person. Everyone. The question I ask you is, does each and every person listening to this podcast, do you separate, if you separate yourself out from what you want your brand to be, ask yourself, are you doing the things necessary as a human to propel yourself to that brand? And does that brand represent and exemplify you as a human? And if not, identify what you want your brand to be, those core values, and then identify yourself as a human, and then put those things together and go achieve a remarkable brand that people will want to embrace. And then you too can be a business person. Thanks for joining me on The B. Dawson Show.